With the release of Jedi Survivor coming just around the corner, there's no better time than now to go back and take a look at the story so far and review Jedi Fallen Order. This game fits canonically into the Jedi series 5 years after Order 66, or the Empire's complete annihilation of the Jedi Order. We find our protagonist, Cal Kestis, former Jedi Padawan, living on Bracca, an inhospitable junkyard planet, surviving by hiding from the Empire until his friend Prof falls off of a job, forcing Cal to, well, save him with the Force. Being caught by a scouting drone, this brings the Inquisitor's 9th and 2nd sister to Bracca looking for the Jedi that was seen. Prof decides to step forward claiming he's the Jedi they're looking for, and I think was kind of working, that is until the 2nd sister stabs him right in the chest, causing Cal to pull his lightsaber and, reveal he's the Jedi they've been looking for this entire time. Cal runs but ends up getting trapped by the 2nd sister, and in their face-off was only able to escape when help from a mysterious unknown ship, the Mantis, is offered and helps him escape the planet. On the ship, we meet Seer, former Jedi Master who's cut herself off from the Force, and Grease, a master pilot / gambling addict, looking for someone who's been strong on the Force to help them with some tasks they're looking to do on a planet called Bogano. Cal decides to tag along and head to Bogano with him, which honestly is the smartest thing he's ever decided to do in his life, because this is where he meets the most adorable BD-1. Cal and BD travel across the planet, finding the Zepho temple in question, unlocking a message stored inside BD of Jedi Master Eno Cordova, explaining that he hit a holocron here in the temple, and the only way to unlock it is to go across the path that he did himself and find multiple Zepho temples across the galaxy. At this point, the story opens up to the player. I decided to go to Dathomir first, and if you're like me, you probably went for that sweet double-sided lightsaber. That's right, Dathomir, home of the Night Sisters, Night Brothers, and Sith Lord Darth Maul. Here you meet Marin, Night Sister, really weird robed person called the Wanderer. We'll put a pin in him and come back later. And the main point of coming here, the double-sided lightsaber. With nothing else to do, let's jump on over to Zepho. Here, we find that the entire world's been taken over, and Cal decides to go find the tomb of Elrum, where he unlocks his latent Force push ability after a flashback with his master Jarl T'Pol. After unlocking this and using the Force push ability, Cal is able to go through the rest of the temple, finding another message unlocked inside of BD of Eno Cordova talking about the origin tree and needing to go to Kashyyyk, and that they recommends finding his friend Tarful. Back on the ship, we see that Seer actually reveals that she was Cordova's Padawan, and she had herself a Padawan named Trilla that didn't make it through Order 66. Flash forwarding to Kashyyyk here, we do get thrown right into the middle of a battle between the Wookiees, Rebels, and Empire. Cal jumps down on the planet and decides to scale an AT-AT that he commandeers and uses to destroy an entire platoon of stormtroopers and Empire ships. After this, he successfully meets Saw Gerrera, a rebel who convinces him to join forces and free Wookiees that had been imprisoned in a refinery. Hoping that Tarful is among them, Cal frees the Wookiees in question. However, Tarful is not among them. After being freed, Saul's crew agrees to look for Tarful and will notify Cal the moment they find him, but now it's back to Zepho because Seer informs him another tomb has been found because of Operation Augur. So let's jump on back into Zepho. Planet's so nice, you're going to visit it twice. Here on the planet, Cal makes his way across the planet to the next temple, but getting first stopped by the 2nd sister and having to face off against her again. Again, overmatched because he's not fully back to where he was as a Padawan. The only reason he survives is the perfect timing by BD-1. And at this point, she reveals herself to be Trilla, the believed dead Padawan of Seer. With this news kind of jarring him a little bit, Cal continues on through the temple until he finds a giant sarcophagus being hung by chains that gets blasted down by one of the ships sent there by the 2nd sister. And while falling, Cal unlocks another ability with a flashback from Jarl T'Pol of Force Pull. We have a lot of these during the game, and that's how you actually go back and learn the skills that were lost when he decided to cut himself off from the Force. Alright, with this new ability unlocked again, Cal decides to traverse the rest of the temple, again unlocking another message that you are now looking for a Zepho artifact called an Astrium. Eno Cordova laying out the breadcrumbs, we just gotta follow him. Now, on his way back to the ship, Cal gets captured by an actual bounty hunter and taken and imprisoned waking up in a jail cell, nothing on him, no lightsaber, no BD1. So what's he gonna do? Obviously, we're gonna start pulling shit off the walls, figuring out what we can do. Finding a power coupling, Cal decides to go ahead and overpower it, which opens his cell. This allows him to traverse all the way down to the end of the hall, finding BD in his own cell and captive, immobilized with an actual attachment to his chest. We end up finding out that you have been taken to a planet called Ordo Iris, which is kind of like a Colosseum type planet. And Cal ends up being the main attraction. Given back his lightsaber by the main, owner of the planet, Cal goes through and just wrecks all of the enemies that are sent to him until the house comes crashing down, literally, with the mantis coming crashing down onto the arena floor. As at this point, we receive a message back from Kashyyyk notifying Cal that Tarful has been located and we need to get back to him as soon as possible. All right, back on Kashyyyk, Tarful is located in the Shadowlands. Cal makes his way over to Tarful, traversing through the rest of the forest, and upon finding Tarful, we do find out that Eno Cordova really spent a lot of time up on the top of the origin tree, and that's probably where he recommends going. We'll probably find whatever Eno Cordova was looking for. At this point, Cal traverses up the origin tree, which, if you haven't seen it, it's like a giant bonsai tree that is sacred to the Wookiee clan. Near the top, they do find a flying beast that's been injured, and Cal and BD actually help it and heal it. And it's so grateful, it actually offers them a ride to the very top, allowing him to find, again, a sacred place and another entire message inside of BD1, talking about an astrium that he found here on Cordova, or on Kashyyyk, but is no longer there. But he believes there's another one that can be found on Dathomir. That's right, we're heading back to Dathomir again. On his way down, though, the Ninth Sister finds Cal, and her ship comes through, shooting the bird. But one quick Jedi lightsaber fight later, we do see that Cal has really upped his skills here, and is able to really push himself, haha, pun intended, to win the fight by literally pushing her off the side of the origin tree. Back on Dathomir, we do run right back to where we left off, the temple where the Wanderer was on the bridge. And now that we're able to traverse a little further, we are able to get to the end of the bridge, about to climb up the wall. That is until Night Brother here throws a huge rock over the side, knocking us down into the swamp. Now in the swamp, this is where we're actually going to run back into Marin, who decides to raise all the dead Night Sisters zombie style, take care of us, and make sure that we leave the planet this time. After this, we do traverse the swamp a little more, running into a giant bat creature here called Gorgara. After this battle that we gain the ability to climb back up the mountain to make it all the way to the Temple of Kashyyyk. Here, Cal meditates, initiating another flashback of him and the day Order 66 was initiated, reliving the entire death of his master, Jarl Tapal, which here we see as they're trying to escape, he's protecting Cal, and it appears that he gave his life to protect the future of the Jedi Order. Now, once he's awake, he faces the Force version of his master, ends up fighting him until he angrily stabs him in the chest, and this in turn destroys the Kyber Crystal and lightsaber Cal has. Now leaving the temple to get back to the Mantis, the Wanderer reveals himself to be Malachus, a former Jedi Master, that is trying to convince Cal to join him. This angers Marin, who raises the rest of the dead sisters and makes Cal run back to the Mantis. Here, Cal reveals and explains to Seer everything that happened and how he feels responsible for the death of his master, and there's nothing that he could have done. Now on to Ilum, a distant planet where a Jedi temple stands and is the place where kids were sent to find their kyber crystals and build their lightsabers. Cal finds a kyber crystal in the back of the temple, but at the moment he finds it, it does crack in half, sending Cal into a spiral. But at this moment, unlocks the last message inside of BD1, showing that BD's memories were wiped by Eno Cordova, waiting for somebody like Cal to progress with him over this path that he's gone before. Now Cal's able to repair his lightsaber, giving him the ability to have a single lightsaber, double lightsaber, and dual wield pretty much everything that a Jedi would want. Alright, now we have a lightsaber again, back to Dathomir to face Jarl Tapal one more time. It's at this point that Cal decides to not fight, thus winning the battle. Next room over, he meets again with Marin, who actually ends up deciding to like Cal and be okay with him this time, and actually help him with Malachus. So they go through, defeat Malachus. You can see here that she's sealing him inside of the ground, making sure that Malachus is no longer an issue, and that's when the Ashen was found by Cal. So now, there's nothing left to do for Merrin on Dathomir, she joins the crew as they all make their way back to Bogano. Here in Bogano, Cal uses the Ashium back at the temple, unlocking the mechanism and revealing a pane of glass that's able to reflect things for him. Upon review of the glass, though, Cal starts seeing some horrific views of what could possibly happen to the new Jedi Order, which is the list of kids that is on the holocron they're trying to locate. Seeing all the deaths of these children and seeing himself actually become an Inquisitor at the very end. Afterwards, Cal finds the holocron in the middle, but is again attacked and fought Second Sister. This time he's ready though, and ends up winning until he grabs her lightsaber, and due to his Force ability of seeing Force echoes, sees all the past experiences and anguish of Trilla, seeing the loss of her master and torture from the Empire. When Cal does wake up though, Trilla has made away with the holocron, so they had to make chase and traverse to the Fortress Inquisitorius. With a little quick magic here by Merrin, they're able to sneak past the huge amount of ships as Cal descends to the ground and ends up swimming into the base. Familiar to anybody who's seen Obi-Wan, he finds Trilla in the back of the base in the torture chamber, again having to face her one last time. After winning, Seer shows up and is apologizing to Trilla and taking responsibility for everything she's done. But what is this? Darth Vader shows up, deciding to dispose of Trilla for her failures, slashing her down, and then throwing Seer over the edge of a platform, leaving only Cal as the last person around. Overpowered extremely by the Dark Lord, Cal runs, barely escaping the Vader's pursuit until he finally catches up, and is only able to help escape when Seer shows up again, distracting and actually enabling or immobilizing the Vader with the dark side. Cal breaks the glass, leaving Vader below to force back the water before it crushes him, traversing back up with Seer until Merrin grabs him and helps him back onto the ship. Back on the Mantis, Cal opens the holocron and views the list of Force-sensitive children they've been looking for this entire time, but in the end decides to just literally flick of the wrist, destroy the holocron, and leave the fate of all these kids up to the Force and not be the reason that they have a target on their back for the rest of their lives by the Empire. What's next for the crew? We'll find out in Jedi Survivor.